Donald Trump loves a winner, so why did he just spend the last week defending Nazis and Confederate sympathizers, two groups who are among history's greatest losers? The defeat of Nazism in World War II is well-trodden source material for countless movies and TV shows. But the legacy of the Confederacy and how it went from treason in the name of slavery to a romanticized, supposedly noble and valiant lost cause is lesser known. After the Civil War, the South was a despondent, defeated region, a place that certainly wasn't flying the Confederate flag or building monuments to secession. The years immediately after the Civil War, known as Reconstruction, also marked a remarkable period of political participation by African Americans in the South. Nearly 2,000 African Americans held public office all the way up to the United States Senate. The Ku Klux Klan formed in December of 1865, only months after Robert E. Lee's surrender, and grew rapidly in violent opposition to black political power. It was kept in check at first by the presence of federal troops throughout the South. But the feds pulled out in 1877, and so began Jim Crow. Left to their own devices, Southern states systematically removed African Americans from civic life, took away their right to vote, segregated every possible public space, and found new ways to criminalize African Americans in order to imprison and virtually re-enslave them. The South enforced the new order, not only with brutality, including lynchings and violent coups, but with visible, concrete reminders, ones that towered over town squares throughout the South. This is when the South began reimagining Confederate leaders as noble defenders of a lost cause of Southern gentility. They got a boost when segregationist Woodrow Wilson took office, even screening at the White House the film Birth of a Nation, which portrayed the KKK as heroic protectors of Southern whiteness. This era, the 1910s and 20s, were the peak of the building of Confederate monuments. There was a second spike and another revival of Confederate lore that coincided with the backlash against the Civil Rights Movement. Southern members of Congress invoked states' rights in 1956 when they called for resistance to the Supreme Court's desegregation order in Brown versus the Board of Education. By that year, 7 states had incorporated Confederate symbolism into their flags. And throughout the 50s and 60s, more statues were built, and dozens of public schools were renamed for Confederate icons. They seemed to forget that the people they were revering were traitors and seditionists who lost the Civil War. These are statues to losers. So why does Mr. You'll Get Tired of Winning Donald Trump love them so much? More on that next.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.